Hello Spurs fans, welcome back to the channel Speaking Spurs with me, Kieran, talking all things Tottenham. Now in this video we are going to be talking about pretty much everything that's happened in the last 24-48 hours with Tottenham Hotspur. It's been a whirlwind roundabout, a lot going on. There is a video that's coming out pretty much not too far in between this. It might already be out before, depends how it goes with uploading. That is all about the European Super League, so check that one out after you've watched this video. If you haven't already done so, please subscribe to the channel. You can support it with a thumbs up and even turn on the bell notification so you get notified when the next video goes live. So this game against Southampton, it's a 6 PM kickoff, Wednesday 21st of April, Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, with our brand new manager for the rest of the season, Ryan Mason, former player. So to view this game, it is on Sky Sports Premier League and Sky Sports Main Event. Coverage from 5:30. I'm sure there'll be a lot of interesting things said before. Team news, we are likely to be without Harry Kane after he picked up the injury. Doesn't look too serious, but there wasn't a very clear update as to whether he's going to be back or even for the cup final. So he suffered that injury against Everton in Jose Mourinho's last game, and he hasn't trained since. He was not in training today. Matt Doherty, however, was back in training. I mean, I doubt he's going to play. He's not going to be back to full fitness. Ben Davies, with an ankle injury, he is still out and will not feature. Southampton team news, they welcome back on loan Liverpool winger Minamino, who was cup-tied for Sunday's FA Cup semi-final defeat to Leicester. Their striker, Michael Obafemi, returned to training but is lacking match fitness. And their long-term absentees is Oriol Romeo with an ankle injury, and Smallbone is out with a knee injury. So as I said, you can watch that on Sky Sports Premier League or Sky Sports Main Event from 5:30. If we look at some stats, we've won 8 of our last 9 Premier League home games against Southampton. Only exception was a 2-1 loss at White Hart Lane in 2016. Southampton have scored in each of their last 10 Premier League meetings with Spurs. And we have been shipping goals recently, so we expect them to score anyway. Interestingly, we have not lost a home game on a Wednesday in the Premier League since a 1-0 loss to Leicester in January 2016. We've won 10 of the 11 in that time and drawn 1 while scoring 25 goals and conceding just 4 goals. So is Wednesday our lucky day in the Premier League? I bloody hope so. Southampton have only picked up 10 points from 15 Premier League games in 2021. They have won 3, drawn 1 and lost 11, fewer than any other side since the turn of the year. They have drawn each of their last 3 Premier League away games to London sides. Mourinho lost 9 of his 41 home games in charge of Tottenham in all competitions. Sonny scored 4 goals in the 5-2 win in the reverse fixture earlier on in the season. What else? Danny Ings has been involved in 6 goals in his 5 games against Spurs for Southampton in all competitions. 5 goals and 1 assist, accounting for 86% of the total goals the Saints have scored in these games. And Harry Kane, who we're probably going to be without, has been involved in 16 goals in 12 Premier League games against Southampton. That's 10 goals and 6 assists, more than he has versus any other opponent in the competition. So it's just kind of a shame he's not here, because it seems like a team he enjoys playing against. So if we look at the actual current form of the teams, we have drawn 2-2 to Everton, 2-2 to Newcastle, and in that same time we have lost 3-1 to Manchester United, 3-0 to Dinamo Zagreb, lost 2-1 to Arsenal, but we beat Aston Villa 2-0. That is 1 win in the last 6 games, whereas Southampton actually have 2 wins in their last 6 games, but they are coming off the back of 2 losses. Lost 1-0 to Leicester, 3-0 to West Brom. They've lost 2-1 to Brighton, 5-2 to Manchester City, but they did beat Burnley 3-2 and beat Bournemouth 3-0. So in different form, they are actually in better form than we are currently. I mean, they do have more losses. We've had 2 draws. But that doesn't mean anything anymore. Jose Mourinho's gone. So let's talk about that. Obviously, we've been involved in this stupid European Super League. Sorry, my words are just not coming out today. They weren't in the last video because I'm just so outraged. And, there's been a lot going on. I haven't slept much and I'm up at 5 o'clock in the morning for work and my mind is kind of frazzled. I've been trying to keep up to date with everything so I can do these videos for you guys. But yes, we are involved with that. Teams have been pulling out. If you haven't seen already, Chelsea and Manchester City have pulled out. And as it stands right now at 9:20 in the evening, we haven't heard about any other Premier League teams coming out. Woodward has stepped down from Manchester United from the end of the season. He'll remain for the last, 6 games or whatever, and then he'll be gone. There's been a lot of pressure. I hope Daniel Levy and Enoch have the sense to pull us out of it before things go too far. I'm assuming at this game there will be fans turning up outraged outside, just like there was with Chelsea tonight, which delayed their kickoff by 15 minutes. And I strongly encourage fans to turn up and get this decision overturned. However, Spurs have tried to be clever. I think we all know that Jose was going to be sacked anyway. It's not been a great season. I personally feel like I'm in limbo with it. Has the pandemic affected things that much? Would one more transfer window have helped Jose? Because we know that he likes to have a solid centre-back partnership. I mean, he got Højbjerg in. He got his man in the anchor of that midfield, which has worked wonders. Kane and Son have been playing unbelievable football, albeit Son has dropped off a little bit recently. It turns out there are rumours that he never wanted Gareth Bale at the club, but Daniel Levy pushed it through anyway, so he agreed to give him a chance and then binned him off again at the first sign of one bad game, despite the fact that he was in a decent run of form. And let's face it, no one really had a good game against Arsenal. There wasn't many people that could come away with any kind of pride from that. So that all seems a bit strange. But I feel like sacking Jose Mourinho 6 days before a cup final is strange. It's the one thing that he was really brought in for, to bring silverware to Spurs, and he got us to a cup final. I know the Premier League form has not been good enough, but what can you do? So he gets us to a cup final. The news breaks out about the European... Jesus, what is wrong with me? The news breaks out about the European Super League. Fans are outraged. There is stuff all over social media, and don't think for a second Daniel Levy was not having reports come in about everything going on. Chances are there are some players that have probably given their views. So what happens? Jose Mourinho comes into work next morning and is sacked. I genuinely think it was a PR stunt by Spurs to deflect attention away from that onto Jose Mourinho sacking. Because I think they were going to sack him regardless, but I think they would have given him the cup final first. Had he lost the cup final, then they would have binned him off. Had he won the cup final, I think they would have given him the rest of the season and then sacked him leading into the summer, into the Euros. But because this has happened, so controversial, they've gone, right, let's get him out the door. Let's get a bit of reaction, because we know the fans weren't happy with him. That lasted all of about an hour. When you've got 6 Premier League teams wanting to break away into this stupid league and be there for money, it was never going to be that kind of attention. And it didn't work. So what was their next move? Well, we know Ryan Mason took training alongside Chris Powell. Ledley King is the only person from Jose's backroom staff that has stayed. But I feel like that would have happened anyway. I don't think he would have had much influence in too much that's gone on. I know he would have been helping the defenders, but in terms of decisions and stuff, it's a learning curve for Ledley. He's done wonders for the club. He's been the ambassador. Now he's moving into the coaching side. So there was no chance we were going to get rid of him whatsoever. He's done so much for us. So yeah, that was that. They were taking training. And then all of a sudden we hear, following morning, Ryan Mason is going to be interim manager for the rest of the season. So he spoke in his press conference about having a chat with Jose. He said he was there with Daniel Levy. He said he was at the club in the morning already because he's involved with, coaching the youngsters. So he was in-house anyway, called him for a meeting and asked to take training. And would he be happy to take the job for the rest of the season? Obviously, he's not going to turn it down. He's been at Spurs since he was a little boy. He's been at Spurs for 20 years, pretty much. Minus the time he went to Hull City, which Pochettino said broke his heart when he had to sell him because the attitude was perfect and he was one of those breakthrough players for Pochettino and epitomised everything that he wanted. Just, didn't always have the quality that he wanted, and it wasn't fair to have him as a bench player to not get many minutes. So he went and obviously fractured his skull, which was life-threatening, and he made the decision to retire from football. He's been supported massively by Hull City. He's been supported by Spurs, come back into the coaching for us, and now he's Tottenham manager. And I feel like this was the next PR stunt. I'm wondering if there wasn't so much negativity about this Super League, would they have appointed Ryan Mason? Now, I know they respect him as a coach and they believe he's doing very well. He's very highly regarded at Spurs. He's very likeable. And apparently they've said the reason why they chose him is because he's done good things within the club and he's highly thought of. He also has a good relationship with many of the players. And after all the negativity that's gone on, they feel like that is the right move to bring some positivity back into the squad. But part of me wonders, is it and the next PR stunt? Because they know, even though the fans are fuming right now, they're going to get behind Ryan Mason. We love the guy. The guy nearly died playing the sport that he loves. He didn't want to leave Spurs, but didn't really have a choice. He needed regular football, so he went. And then after his career's done, he comes back to us and he's a coach within the club. Could have been a coach at Hull City, no doubt. But he came to Spurs. So I feel like that's the next PR stunt, to see if that deflects off it, calms the fans down a little bit. He's 29 years old. He is now the youngest Premier League manager ever, which he wasn't actually aware of in his press conference. And I feel sorry for him. Like his press conference, it was very unfair. A lot of the reporters naturally want to ask about the European Super League. And we know Klopp had showed that he doesn't really support the idea. Pep has also said that he doesn't support the idea. Whereas Ryan Mason, it's not really fair. He's been appointed as manager like 24 hours ago. And all he's going to want to do is his best for Tottenham. The European Super League thing is going to be so far down his list of priorities because he knows he's not going to be Tottenham manager come the end of the season. So he's not going to worry about that yet. He just needs to make sure that he makes the most of this opportunity and tries to do his best to get the squad focused. Like, no doubt he'll bring players back in from the frozen. So a lot of the questions were unfortunately about the European Super League, and he did deflect them as much as he could. He was saying, look, I don't know a lot about it. I haven't had the time. I got told like less than 24 hours ago that I'm going to be manager of Spurs for the rest of the season, so I've been focusing on that. A lot has gone wrong. He needs to think about who his actual defenders are going to be for the game, what formation he's going to go with. Is he going to bring in players like Dele Alli and Gareth Bale who haven't had much game time recently? Is he going to stick with the old guard at the back? Is he going to put the youngsters through? There's so much for him to think about. On top of that, will he use any of the youngsters? I know Jose was putting them on the bench and using them in the Europa League. Is that going to be something he does because he knows a lot of the youngsters where he's been working with them? There must be so much going on in his mind. And on top of that, the amount of pressure. And I actually thought in his press conference he did very, very well. He's always been a good speaker when he's done interviews for Tottenham as a player. He's done some punditry work for Sky Sports. And he's always carried himself very well as a speaker. He comes across very mature for his age. And I think when you go through something that he's been through, it does mature you. But even before that, he was very good in interviews, like very well spoken, knows what he's talking about, intelligent young man. And unfortunately, the guy's on the wrong side of the career now. He's managing instead of playing and coaching. But yeah, his press conference he handled very well. He was asked, questions about the injuries and stuff. He said that he doesn't know if Harry Kane is going to be available. I think he did know the answer, but didn't actually want to say it. But he said Harry didn't train. He said that Doherty is back in training, and the only person that's definitely out is Ben Davies. He was asked if he was going to give some players chances that were frozen out of the squad. And he was very good with the way he handled that. He said that because he's so involved with the youngsters, he doesn't really know the ins and outs of what's gone on. But of course, everyone has got a chance to play. Now, unfortunately, that means for Danny Rose, he doesn't have a chance to play because he's not registered for the Premier League squad. And there's been a lot go on with Danny Rose that came out during the documentary with the All or Nothing documentary. The times that he clashed with Jose Mourinho, the conversations he had with Daniel Levy, and he is quite a fiery character. He's passionate and he wants to play all the time. Like, we got that vibe. He ended up going out on loan to Newcastle. They then didn't want to buy him permanently. I think Leeds wanted him, but he wanted a more high-profile move, and it didn't happen. So he was just stuck to rot in the under-23s, and he's made some performances for them. I'm assuming he's fit because he's going to want to move at the end of the season. He can go for a free. Contract is up. But he's our longest serving player. And he said that he wanted the opportunity to play again for Spurs and say goodbye to the fans. He hasn't had that opportunity. And if he is going to get the opportunity, it can only come in the cup final. And apparently, I don't know how true it is, but there are rumours circulating that he has asked if he can come back and train with the first team squad. Now, I personally think, longest serving player, he's been frozen out for God knows how long. Regardless of what's gone on behind the scenes, I think he deserves the opportunity to at least train with the squad and enjoy the last 2 months that he has with Spurs. There is no reason he should be forced to train with the youngsters whatsoever. Regardless of what's gone on, I think it's very poor treatment of a guy that is our longest serving player. And the guy's going to go down in Spurs history just for that goal that he scored against Arsenal. That was outrageous. What a debut. And he's been a very good servant to the club. At one point was the best left back in the Premier League, if not one of the best in Europe and in world football, when you had Kyle Walker on the opposite side. So I think, do you know what? Let him come back to training. If he impresses, put him on the bench for the final. Bring him on 5-10 minutes. Let him say goodbye to Spurs. And there are going to be fans in the stadium. And after all this controversy that's gone on with the poor season, the pandemic, now the breakaway European Super League, let him say his goodbye. I think he deserves it. Then let him go for free and do what he wants to do in football. But yeah, so, we have Ryan Mason in charge now to the end of the season. We don't know if there really is anything to play for anyway, apart from this cup final, because we don't know if we're going to pull out the European Super League. So that one will be interesting. Let me just check the iPad again, see if anything else has come out about it, because there is literally stuff coming out constantly about this European Super League. It is crazy. It's like, what's that? It's like every hour or so, half hour, there's a new update. But it'll be interesting to see what he goes with. I would like to see Gareth Bale play. And I think the most interesting one will be what happens up front. Now, I don't want to see him go with Sonny up top. I feel like we've seen that too many times and it doesn't work. I also don't want to see Moore up front. That doesn't work for me either. I actually think our best bet, and I know Gareth Bale said that he didn't want to play anywhere but on the right wing because he's played there a lot for Real Madrid. No, it's still saying now, Chelsea and Man City set to leave Super League. There is no updates as to whether Manchester United, Tottenham, Arsenal or Liverpool are going to come out of it. It's absolutely crazy. I can't believe none of the others have said that they're going to leave whatsoever. What a shame. What a shame. No, it's just saying pressure grows on Liverpool. Liverpool players, we don't like it and we don't want it. Dalglish. I hope Liverpool do the right thing. No, so still even now at 35 minutes past 9, none of those other teams have pulled out, which I think is absolutely disgusting. And it's just a shame because Ryan Mason is going into a game that could possibly be completely tarnished before kickoff because of what's going to happen with the backlash from this. So I'm hoping before the game we announce that we're not going to be in it, just so we can go into this game with some positivity. But yeah, interesting to see what he'll do up front. Will he go with Carlos Vinicius and give him a chance to shine so we actually go there with a proper striker? If not, I would like to see Gareth Bale play through the middle. Like we know he does for Wales. He plays through the middle as a striker at times. And I'd like to see that. I feel like he's our best option. He's got some quality. Obviously, he's going to go with Lloris in goal. It's a player that he played with. Is he going to stick with Reguilon? I mean, I think he has to. Reguilon is the only real option at left back because Davies is out injured. I don't know if he's going to play 3 at the back or 2 at the back. But if he goes 2 at the back, I think you probably have to go with either Dyer and Toby or Sanchez and Toby or Roden and Toby. I think Alderweireld has to be in there. I think on performances recently, you should put Roden with him. I think he's been good. If you go 3 at the back, then I'd probably put Dyer in there with them, just because he's the most aggressive. And I feel in a moment like this, you're going to need a guy that's aggressive with passion. So I'd put him in there. I mean, a lot of people were asking the last game for Tanganga to play, and I'd say him or Aurier for me is fine. I don't really want to see Doherty there. I think it's just not worked out so far for him, and he's obviously not going to be fit. Højbjerg has to play. He's pretty much been one of our best players all season. Tanguy's got to play. Again, been another great player. The question marks are going to come further in those attacking positions again, like it's kind of been for the majority of the season. They're so interchangeable. But I think if you want passionate players, Moura and Lamela both have to play. He's not going to not play Son, so Son's going to play no matter what. It's just a weird one. I don't know what he's going to go with. I mean, he could even play Dele up top if he wanted to, or use Lucas and Dele as interchangeable, as sort of like 2 10s. Put 2 10s on the pitch and just allow one to go forward and one not. I don't know what to expect at all, but he did say that, he wants Spurs to come out fighting and wants us to be more of the Spurs that we're used to, rather than this shocking defensive, cowardly style of play that we've got where we just rely on counter-attacks. Spurs need to be on the front foot. And I know he hasn't got a lot of time to change stuff, but I do believe that his values are going to be right. I don't think we're going to see wonders against Southampton. If it does, it's just going to be that old classic new manager syndrome where players come out and have like an incredible game. I don't know what's going to happen for the final. It's going to be a bit of a strange one just because of everything that's gone on and the fact that Ryan's a new manager. And then for the rest of the season, I actually think he's got a decent amount of time to work with the players, and I think a lot of them will be okay with him because a lot of our senior players are very respectful. I just worry about players like Dele, who's been a bit disruptive apparently behind the scenes. If he wasn't going to respect Pochettino in the end, or Jose, he's certainly not going to respect a 29-year-old Ryan Mason. And that's a shame. But yeah, it's going to be a very, very interesting end to the season. And I think from Daniel Levy's standpoint, it's a clever appointment because there's no pressure on him and the fans aren't going to expect victories all the way till the end of the season. But if they do all pull out of this Super League, it'll be interesting to see what actually happens. Because potentially, if Chelsea lose tonight, and we know Liverpool have drawn, we are right back in this for the top 4 again. So the season just gets crazier and crazier and crazier. But I was kind of ready just to be purely angry at what's gone on and not really give 2 flying hoots about the rest of the season. But now Ryan Mason is in charge. I kind of have this feeling that I want to support the guy and I want him to do well, and I want to support the players. Like they haven't done anything wrong in terms of this Super League thing. I'm just furious at Enoch and Daniel Levy for the audacity to go ahead and do this with these other clubs. Bearing in mind we've been shocking all season, as have Arsenal. So we have no right to say we are the Elite Six and deserve to play in this bloody league with all these other so-called superstars. But you know what it's going to be like if this like breakaway league carries on and goes through, and say they do manage to get the players banned from international competition. I can't see Harry Kane wanting to stick around with Spurs. He's going to want to break records for England. So what the Super League will end up being, it'll be like a new MLS. Just a European version where you have players go there that are going towards the end of their careers. You know, players like, we saw it with Bastian Schweinsteiger, Giovanni Dos Santos, David Beckham, Robbie Keane, Steven Gerrard, Frank Lampard, Jermaine Defoe, although he came back into the Premier League and is now at Rangers. But do you know what I mean? There's plenty of superstars that go over there. Higuain. I mean, even now, there are so many players that go over there, and that's what this is going to become. And that's fine for Ronaldo and Messi, who are coming into the last few years. So, they can put them on all the mega money, and they can retire in these clubs if they really want to in the Super League. But you really think the likes of like Haaland and Mbappe, people like that are going to want to hang around in this Super League where they've got no chance of winning anything but that one domestic title? Psh, don't think so. So hopefully the rest of the teams drop out and Tottenham come to their senses and drop out, because I don't want to have to give up my season ticket. But if this Super League goes ahead and we're genuinely going to be part of it, I don't really want to be a season ticket holder. I'm assuming it's going to be extortionate prices anyway if that happens. They have said for next season they're going to freeze the prices. So we've still got some time to think about whether we're going to renew. But let me know in the comments below whether you're somebody that's going to renew, whether you're kind of done with Spurs if this all continues and goes ahead. How do you feel about Ryan Mason? Do you think it's a PR stunt? Were you happy to see Jose go? What players do you want to see play from now to the end of the season? Do you think Danny Rose should come back into the side for the cup final and get to say goodbye? Because I know Danny Rose really splits hairs amongst the Spurs fans for his fiery outbursts. But I'm going to leave it there for today because, as I said, there is another video that's going up that's just about the European Super League. So feel free to check that one out. So yeah, 2 videos for you today. And then obviously I'll probably do it Thursday after work. I'll record the video to talk about what happened in the Southampton game, which hopefully is going to be 3 points in the bag. And hopefully, because I know Chelsea were drawing at half-time against Brighton, hopefully they haven't won. We get the 3 points, put ourselves back into some sort of contention and finish the season off on a high. And hopefully Ryan Mason can make club history and win us a trophy as the youngest manager for a Premier League club. So, thank you for watching. It was a bit of a strange video, and second video of the day. The first one was a hell of a rant. This one was a mini rant with some strange positives that I personally believe are PR stunts. Let me know what you think in the comments. If you haven't done so already, subscribe to the channel. Please support it with a thumbs up. Turn on the bell notifications if you want. Stay safe, guys. And as always, come on you Spurs.